And happy Sabbath for our viewers as well. We're happy that you tuned in, and we pray for mercies and blessings for y'all. You could be anywhere, but you chose to be here at the Vineyard of Israel. Today's lesson is called "The Price Has Been Paid," and today we're going to be discussing that price that has been paid and what that payment was for, so that we can get a good understanding. And it's supposed to be a message of encouragement, you know, that you stay consistent on your walk, because we are in this world and it can be tiring. A lot of people, because this is a marathon that we're running. It's not a short pace. It's not a short race. It's a long race that doesn't end until you don't open your eyes anymore. So this, hopefully, it encourages people to walk consistently in faith and to stay on the righteous path and to understand the payment that has been made for you, so that you don't take it in vain, and in a time of judgment it's counted against you. So today's lesson is going to start off at 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 20. 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 20. Then when you get there, brother, go ahead. Oh, yeah, my name is Brother Nehemiah Fanley, and today's reader is Brother Kurt. Go ahead.
For ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify Yah in your body and in your spirit, which are Yah's.
So he said, glorify Yah in your body and in your spirit, which are Yah's. You have been bought with a price. And he also says your body and in your esteem him in your body and in your spirit, which are Yah's. So that's a possessive word. That's possessive speech. They're saying that the Father, you are the Father's. He said the price is being paid. When you go to the store, can you just walk out the store with any goods without paying for it? No. Even at Walmart, they got people checking, and that's against the law, but they have people checking your receipts to make sure that you pay for the products that are in your basket, so that make sure that you're not stealing, that you pay for the goods. So when you buy something, you expect it to be of that value, right? So if I pay $6 for some Simply's Best juice, I don't want to get the container and it's halfway full. I want to make sure I get the whole bottle, right? So just remember that he says that you're bought with a price, and in your body and in your esteem him in your body and your spirit, which are Yah's. Let's go to Romans 12 and verse 1. Romans 12 and verse 1. Because last night we did a lesson dealing with just balances and just weights. So this kind of coincides and parallels and goes along with that message. He wants just balances and just weights, and he's paid the price. Go ahead when you get there, brother. Romans 12 and verse 1.
I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yah, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice.
So he's saying present your bodies as a living sacrifice. When they had sacrifices, those animals couldn't have blemishes. They had to be perfect, in order to be acceptable to the Father. Keep reading.
Holy, acceptable unto Yah, which is your reasonable service.
Which is your reasonable service. So when he's wanting, since the price is being paid, he wants your body to be presented as a living sacrifice. So he paid the price, so he wants something of the equal value from you. 2 Corinthians. And I'm going to try to move this along so we don't be here all day. 2 Corinthians chapter 1. And we're going to pick it up at verse 19, and we're going to read through verse 22. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 19 through 22. And when you get there, my brother, go ahead.
For the Son of Yah, Yeshua HaMashiach, who is preached among you by us, even by me and Silvanus and Timotheus, was not yea and nay, but in him was yea. Mm-hmm. For all the promises of Yah in him are yea, and in him amen, unto the glory of Yah by us. Mm-hmm. Now he which establishes us with you in Hamashiach and hath anointed us.
He establishes us with you in what?
In Hamashiach.
Because the Messiah is the blood that is being paid. Because a covenant is an agreement. And back in those days, in order to seal the deal on the covenant agreement, you needed blood. They would sacrifice things in order to make their agreement, which we'll touch on later on in this lesson. Read that verse again.
Now he which establishes us with you in Hamashiach and hath anointed us is Yah, who hath also sealed us.
He did what?
Also sealed us.
He sealed us. Keep going.
And given the earnest of the spirit of our hearts.
And given the earnest of our hearts. So in my version, it says he has sealed us and gave the spirit in our hearts as a pledge. So the earnest there that you're seeing is basically saying a down payment. When you go get a car, a lot of times they ask for what? A down payment. So if you go to a car lot, you say, hey, I want that car. And they're like, all right, we've been getting a lot of calls for it. If you don't make a down payment and somebody else comes, what's going to happen? The other person will be able to purchase their vehicle. So he's saying the earnest, it's already been a down payment made. And he said that you've been what? He says he sealed us. You've been sealed. So back in the day when they wouldn't have seals, they used to write their messages on paper. They roll it up. Then they get candle and have hot wax. They'll drop the hot wax on the letter. And then they have what was called a signet. The signet will be your ring. So when kings, they had rings made customly, and it'll have a certain design on it. So once they get that wax, they write the letter. I'm gonna have my carrier to send this message. I want you to go take it to Kurt. Drop the wax on there. You put your ring in there, and it's gonna leave an impression. And by that impression, you'll know, okay, this was King Nehemiah who sent this, and it's only supposed to be open when it gets to that person. And that's how you authenticate the message to know, hey, this is really from King Nehemiah, because King Nehemiah is the only one who has this inscription on his ring. So that's how you verify it, right? So he says you've been sealed. So now we have to understand that the way that we were sealed was through the blood of Christ. So once we get into this war, we're saying, hey, I'm making a covenant with you, Father. I'm coming into agreement that I would take this cost that has been paid through our brother who was beat savagely, hung on the cross to die. I'm going to come under this covenant, because remember, blood is used to seal the deal on the covenant. And I'm in agreement to say that, hey, I'm going to walk as the example that was given by your son, Yeshua or Jesus, right? So now you're coming into this agreement, but read that verse 22 again.
Who hath also sealed us and given the earnest of the spirit in our hearts.
So he says, given the earnest in the spirit in our hearts. And we know the hearts means mind. So he's telling you what the down payment was. And, well, he's telling you what the down payment was, and also the consolation prize, or what you getting until it's fulfilled. He says it's the spirit, because no one will be able to dwell with the Father if they don't have the same spirit. When somebody comes and knocks on your door, you're not going to let them in if you don't know them. If they're not coming there with a purpose, only reason you're going to let somebody in your house that you don't know, say your air condition goes out, your appliance breaks down. You know these people are coming here for a particular purpose, but you're just not going to let no average stranger. A lot of us won't even open the door. And with today's technology, we got cameras on our doors, so we'll talk to them through the speaker. How can I help you? Be right on the couch. How can I help you? You might not feel like being bothered, but you see that black pad that they got or that binder, and you know they're trying to sell something. I'm good. I don't want what you're trying to sell me, right? So we have that luxury now. And it's the same way with the Father. We can't enter into his house unless he knows what purpose we're there for. And you're going to have the same spirit as him, so he'll be able to identify that you are worthy of entering in the house with him. So that spirit was the down payment that he gave us. He gave us that spirit, and he says that the spirit sealed us, just like that hot wax that would be on that letter, and that signet would be in there. So when we come to him, we're supposed to have that same, when that message or that letter gets to him, which is us, we're supposed to have that seal, so he can know, yeah, this is the message is coming back to me full circle. So let's let him enter, right? 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 5. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 5. And it's important to understand this because when we making a promise to the Father, hey, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to give up the past things that I used to do, my old flesh, my old lust, so that I can be a representative of you while I'm on earth, so that the true reward will be able to dwell with you in the afterlife. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 5. Go ahead, brother.
Now he that hath wrought us for the selfsame thing is Yah, who also hath given unto us the earnest of the Spirit.
So he's saying that again, that down payment that he's given was the Spirit, right? Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 22. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 22. 1 Corinthians chapter, it's not even chapter 22. 1 Corinthians 1, verse 22. And would you go there? Go ahead and read.
For the Jews require a sign.
So the Jews, they need a sign. Keep going.
And the Greeks seek after wisdom.
And the Greeks seek the wisdom. So focus on is saying the Jews need a sign, which most people do nowadays. They need a sign. There's a lot of different beliefs now. Like you got the New Age belief and all these different beliefs. And they got the mentality that if I can't see it, I can't believe it. That's why science is winning over the belief in the Bible a lot of times, because they're like, you got to be able to prove it. So I'm supposed to believe that the Red Sea was really literally split. And then you have documentaries that are actually made to combat the Bible, what else try to give scientific explanations for why the top of Mount Sinai is black. Out of all the mountains over there, all of them are regular, but this one mountain that's Mount Sinai is burnt at the top where the Spirit was dwelling with Moses. He leaves signs and proof, but scientifically they'll say, hey, this happened or that happened. Even in Sodom and Gomorrah, it's sulfur. The reading, they go there with the sulfur meters and it's going off. The sulfur reading is so high that it can't even measure it, right? But they're going to always have a scientific explanation. Well, this and that. Nah, everything that's the Bible say, he still leaves signs. The archaeologist was excavating land there, and they were finding, according to the text, the journey that the Israelites took from Egypt to the Promised Land. They were digging up animal bones, and all the animal bones were the bones of what God deemed as being a good sacrifice animal. So you had a lot of lambs, doves, all of that stuff. These are things that we can still find, but a lot of people who don't believe, they need the sign. They need to have it just broken down and proved, because it makes you comfortable when you have a sign. It's easier to see stuff and believe in it than just to believe without and walking on what they would call blind faith. For Numbers 23 and 19. Numbers 23 and 19. And ask yourself, why do I believe in the Bible? Because I didn't never see any of these things. This is stuff that was written down. Why do I believe in the Bible? Numbers 23 and 19. Go ahead.
Yah is not a man.
He's not a man to do what?
That he should lie.
He's not a man that he would lie. Keep going.
Neither the son of man that he should repent. Hath he said, and shall he not do it?
Everything he says is going to come to fruition. Go ahead.
Or hath he spoken, and shall he not make it good?
Right. Now let's go over to John chapter 7, verse 38. So the Most High is not a man that he should lie. Everything that he says that he's going to do, it's written in stone. It's going to happen. John chapter 7 and verse 38. And when you get there, go ahead.
He that believeth on me, as the scripture has said.
As the scripture has said. That's why we believe on him, because we read these things. So we're able to believe on him because this is what's written. Because we know these words, or we have the belief that these words are inspired by the Most High. Start that over.
He that believeth on me,
Mhm.
as the scripture has said,
Mhm.
out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water.
Shall flow rivers of living water. So we need to find out why he's talking about being sealed and have an understanding that everything that's written in this Bible has a purpose and a reason. So it's a lot of things that we see in this Bible, we'll just read over it. We'll skip the names. We'll get to the names and we can't even pronounce them. So we just skipping over them. We'll be like, okay, this is like 5 verses of names. Let's just skip over it. But then when you start to get better understanding, those names are there for a reason. And the Father start revealing stuff to you just about the names and stuff that's in there. You start doing your research and you're like, oh, that's why he mentioned him. Okay, so this guy way down the line is related to him. Because if we took all the names out, we wouldn't even be able to trace Yeshua or Jesus' lineage back, to David. So he has everything written for a reason. We'll think that it's minute, but once you get more and more understanding, you'll see that everything in here has a purpose and it's important, right? So let's go to Hebrews 6 with that being said. Hebrews 6. And we are going to read verses 10 through 11. Go ahead.
For Yah is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love.
So he not unrighteous to forget your work of labor and love. So we all in this walk, and people will have people, they say hurt people, and a lot of people are hurt in this world. So people gonna hurt people. Even in this walk, we can't think that, because I'm in this walk, people not gonna do me wrong. It's so many scriptures in here that's letting you know. He even say, count the cost. And he telling you how to deal with it because it's going to happen to you. But the difference is now versus us being in the world, we supposed to conduct ourselves differently and react to those situations differently because we are supposed to be walking pillars of light and represent the Father. And we're supposed to, I love those bracelets, where they had the WWJD, right? Because what would Yeshua do? What would Christ do if he was on this earth? Before we open our mouths to respond to people and situations, we need to think, what would Christ do if he was here, right? So read that verse again.
For Yah is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love.
And your labor of love. So keep running the race. No matter what's coming and being thrown to you in life, keep running the race. And remember, I've made a covenant with the Father. I've accepted the blood of Christ, so I have to conduct myself differently. No matter, I got to walk on faith and believe that the Father's going to handle all things. I got to give it to him and let him handle it, right? Keep going.
Which ye have showed toward his name, in that ye have ministered to the saints and do minister.
And still do it because you're still going. That's the key thing to look at is that you're still doing it. Keep going.
And we desire that every one of you do show the same diligence.
So we want you to have the same diligence and eagerness, the want to continue in this walk and wake up your brothers and sisters. Keep going.
To the full assurance of hope unto the end.
Until tomorrow.
Until the end.
Until later tonight. Until the end. And we all know that the end will be us, translating into the spiritual form. So we need to continue this walk. So like I said earlier, I want this message to have an understanding of the covenant that we made and to motivate you to keep pushing no matter what life is throwing to you right now. Have faith that I can make it through. As long as I live by the Father's will and I share the same spirit, which the spirit does what again? Is sealed. That was the earnest payment. He gave us a spirit to be that seal. So don't let me return to the world. And when my letter get back to him, it's no seal on it. Or that seal that was placed there, the devil done took it and put his own wax and his ring over it. See, I don't want that mail. I don't want that mail because that mail, we can say that that's a bill now and the price has already been paid. Nah, that's not me. Somebody bill. I know everybody done had mail come to the wrong house. So I remember one time when I was in my first apartment, I was 17, fresh out of high school, graduated, got my first apartment, and the bill came in because I had the same electric provider as my neighbor, but I didn't pay attention to the name. And I was like, what? Nah, I'm at work all day. Ain't no way that my electric bill is this high. So then I got to the name, and I was like, oh, this is not for me. So that seal wasn't for me, right? That wasn't for me. The same way the Father would feel, would be like, I don't know you. This not me. So read that verse 11 again.
And we desire that every one of you do show the same diligence to the full assurance of hope until the end.
Until the end. So we got to be found doing his work so that we can get that true reward. Proverbs 24. Because we have to be found doing his work and on the narrow path in order to get the reward that we want. And I'm sure everybody in here wants to be able to dwell with the Father. So that means you can't be found, according to those texts, it's speaking about doing work. So we can't be lazy. We can't be slothful because that's something that the Father hates. Proverbs chapter 24, and we will be reading verses 30 through 34. Proverbs 24, verses 30 through 34. Go ahead, brother.
I went by the field of the slothful, and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding.
Read that again.
I went by the field of the slothful.
So he's going by the field of the slothful, the lazy person. Keep going.
And by the vineyard of the man void of understanding.
And by the vineyard of the man who doesn't have wisdom. So our body is our temple, right? And a little bit in last night's lesson, we talked about even cleaning out your house. So how are you going to have your temple clean and have a place that's conducive for the Holy Spirit if you're not working on keeping it clean? It requires work. You don't clean that temple, eventually the unclean spirits will make their way in, and then you could potentially end up a reprobate. Go ahead and read.
And lo, it was all grown over with thorns, and nettles had covered the face thereof, and the stone wall thereof was broken down.
So he's going through a field. He sees of a lazy person in the vineyard of a person lacking understanding, and it's overgrown with thorns and nettles. And the wall is being broken down because it's not being taken care of. Keep reading.
Then I saw and considered it well.
So he saw and he considered. So he saw this with his own eyes. I was told that it's better to learn from the mistakes of others than for you to do the same thing. So he's considering from the things that he's seeing. Keep reading.
I looked upon it and received instruction.
So he received instruction from this. He learned, like, I don't want my vineyard to be like this. So I know what I need to do. Just like the Most High just told Adam, keep the garden, right? This is all you have to do, keep the garden. So he learned the lesson from the lazy man just off of sight and observation. Matthew 20. And we're going to read verses 1 through 4. Matthew 20, 1 through 4. So we should be learning from all the things that we've seen Israel do throughout the book, and see the things that the Most High hate, that the people were getting judged by, and we shouldn't be doing those things. Stay on the narrow path and endure unto the end. Matthew 20, and read verses 1 through 4. Go ahead.
For the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard.
So he's going out early in the morning to hire workers to work the field. Go ahead.
And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard.
How much are the laborers? What did they agree? Their agreement was to get paid how much?
A penny a day.
A penny a day, right? So he went out early in the morning. He had these people who he spoke to. They made an agreement. All right, I'll work the whole day for a penny. Keep reading.
And he went out about the third hour.
So on the third hour, What happened?
And saw others standing idle in the marketplace.
So they're not doing anything. Keep reading.
And said unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I will give you. And they went their way.
So he's just coming to them and saying, hey, go out here and work all day, and I'm going to give you the value of what your work is, right? So the early morning people, he made an agreement with them, hey, I'm going to give you a penny a day, but the people he came to in the third hour, they don't really know what they're going to get paid. He just said, I'm going to pay you your just due. So they are moving on what? In order for you to say, hey, yeah, they're moving on faith. They're moving on faith that this person is going to really pay them a just amount of money for the work that they put in. So they didn't have an agreement on a penny. They just know that this guy said he's going to pay me just due once I've completed my work. And it's the same way as, so Israel didn't come in on faith into this walk. They always saw signs. They saw the splitting of the Red Sea, the firstborn of the people in Egypt who didn't cover their doorposts with the blood dying. They always saw signs. So it was easier to have faith because they seeing miracles happen, right? And as soon as things don't go that way, they lose what? Faith. And they started doubting. They started complaining. They started murmuring. Even though they seen some of the greatest things that ever happened in the world, as soon as things get rocky, they quick to lose faith. Let's go to Exodus 3. Exodus 3, and we're going to read verses 8 through 9. Because you have to endure unto the end. You got to hold on to the faith. You got to have an understanding that I've made a covenant with the Father to accept the blood of the Messiah. So I'm going to be held responsible for this agreement. Exodus chapter 3, and we will read verses 8 through 9. Go ahead.
And I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land unto a good land, and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey.
So he's saying, I will deliver them, and I'm going to bring them out of the misery that they're in and bring them to a land flowing with milk and honey. Keep going.
Unto the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them.
So the Father is saying, I'm going to take them out of the conditions that they're in now that are hard on them, and I'm going to bring them to the promised land, something that's way better. So he's making a promise. And remember, we read earlier, he is not a man that he should lie. So anything that he says is going to come to pass. Genesis chapter 15. Genesis chapter 15, we will be reading verses 12 through 15, 7 through 12, and 17 through 18. 12 through 15, 7 through 12, and 17 through 18. When you get there, brother, go ahead.
And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And
so now he's about to have a vision. Go ahead.
And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed will be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
So he's basically giving him a sign that your children, they're going to go through bondage for 400 years. Go ahead.
And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age.
Keep going.
But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full.
So he says in the fourth generation, they are going to return here. So I'm going to take them to the promised land, but they are returned here in the fourth generation due to their transgressions, due to the Amorites. Keep going.
And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces.
Okay, read that again.
And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace.
So a smoking furnace
and a burning lamp.
And a burning lamp. Keep that in mind. Keep going.
That passed between those pieces.
So they passed between those pieces. Let's see here. Go back up to verse 9. Go ahead.
And he said unto him,
he's speaking to Abraham,
take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old.
So, and keep going.
And a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these and divided them in the midst.
So he split all these animals down the middle. Keep going.
And laid each piece one against another, but the birds divided he not.
So he put each piece apart from each other. And then the vision comes in. And this is when the father starts telling him about the children of Israel going to go into captivity for 400 years and everything. Now read 17 again. But keep in mind, he has them to get these animals and split them up. Read 17 again.
And when it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace.
A smoking furnace and a
burning lamp.
A burning lamp.
That passed between those pieces.
So it's walking in between the pieces. So once he cut the animals, he put one part on one side, one part on the other. And it's saying that the smoking oven and the burning lamp went in the middle. So back in the days, the way they used to make covenants is they would get animals. They'll sit, negotiate. Hey, this is what the deal is. They'll get the animal. They'll cut it in half, put one half over here, one half over here, and then they will walk in between those animals. So this is making a covenant. And then after that, they would say, whatever we did to this animal, if I break my part of the agreement, may be done to me what happened to this animal. So we need to understand the importance of covenant and what they held as value back then, so we can have understanding now of what we're expected to do. Because we now have come under the blood of who? The Messiah. And remember, the animals that were killed, they would say, let what happened to that animal happen to me if I break the covenant. And what happened to the Messiah? He was crucified. So we coming to the Father and saying, hey, I'm going to come under this covenant and let happen to me. Well, let what happened to the Messiah happen to me. So let me lose my life if I don't keep my agreement and my covenant with you. And we all know that's the wages of sin is what? Yeah. Right. So let's keep the importance of what we are saying when we go under that water and we make a covenant and we're saying, I will follow Christ. I will follow your ways, Father. I will follow that example that you sent me. So again, with the covenant, you put half of the animal on this side, half of the other. You walk through it, and then let what happened to the animal happen to me if I break our agreement. So read 17 one more time.
And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp.
A smoking furnace and a burning lamp that did what?
Passed between those pieces.
Right. Verse 18.
In the same day, Yahuwah made a covenant with Abram.
So he's making a covenant. The smoking furnace went through there, and the smoking furnace went through there, and the lit torch went through there. And it says what again on 18?
In the same day, Yahuwah made a covenant with Abram.
He's making a covenant with Abram. Go ahead.
Saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates.
Okay, now I'm going to ask y'all, because I want y'all to participate. How was Israel led out of Egypt? What were they led by? By what? Huh? A cloud and fire. And we just read a smoking furnace and a lit torch went between it. So the Father is making the covenant right then. And then we see the same. That's how we know it's the Father was the one walking in between there, because that's the same thing that led them. You know, actually it was Christ who played the role of the Father. So they were led by fire at night and smoke during the day. So keep that in mind. Let's go to Exodus 20. So the Father just made a covenant with Abraham using the animals and was saying, hey, I'm going to take the children of Israel from bondage into the promised land. Exodus 20. And keep in mind the importance of the covenant that we're making with the Father using Yeshua's blood. Exodus 20, verse 1. Go ahead, brother.
And Yah spake all these words, saying, I am Yahuwah thy Elohim, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. So
basically, we went there to confirm that what the Father said he was going to do, he did it. He is not a man that he should lie. 1 Kings chapter 8. So he went there just to confirm that he kept his part of the agreement. He kept his part of the covenant. Because remember, if I don't keep this agreement, let what happened to me, what happened to this sacrifice, be done unto me. 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 51 through 53. And when you get there, go ahead. Again, that's 1 Kings chapter 8, 51 through 53. Go ahead.
For they be thy people and thine inheritance, which thou broughtest forth out of Egypt, from the midst of the furnace of iron.
So he's keep going. So he said, you brought them out of Egypt and out of the iron furnace. Keep going.
That thine eyes may be open unto the supplication of thy servant, and unto the supplication of thy people Israel, to hearken unto them in all that they call for unto thee. For thou didst separate them from among all the people of the earth, to be thine inheritance, as thou speakest by the hand of Moses thy servant, when thou broughtest our fathers out of Egypt, Yahuwah Elohim.
Okay, so he brought them out of Egypt, and remember he said he had the intentions of taking them into the land of milk and honey. Now let's go to Numbers 14. Numbers 14, and we're going to read verses 1 through 29 and 33 through 34. Numbers 14, 1 through 29 and 33 through 34. Because Yah swore by himself when he made that covenant with Abraham, and he passed through that to sacrifice animals, that he would release them from bondage and take them into the land of milk and honey. But of course, due to their transgressions and their lack of faith, it delayed the process of them getting to the land of milk and honey. Just the same thing that happened to us. The Father promised us all these things, but us not being consistent delays his reward to us. And then we wonder why we go through a lot of the stuff we go through, because we're not walking wholly in his word. Go ahead, brother.
And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night. And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron.
So they complaining. Go ahead.
And the whole congregation said unto them, Would Yah that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would Yah have we died in this wilderness?
Even after seeing all those signs, they didn't have the faith. So they had signs, but they didn't have faith. Keep going.
And wherefore hath Yahuwah brought us unto this land to fall by the sword?
So did the Father just bring us to this land just so that we can die by the sword? Keep going.
That our wives and our children should be a prey.
So our wives and our children should die as well? Keep going.
Were it not better for us to return into Egypt?
We might as well just go back to Egypt. Who says that after you've been in that hard bondage? You know, this is the ignorance of the people. Even though they had the amazing signs, they didn't have faith. Keep going.
And they said one to another, let us make a captain, and let us return into Egypt.
So let's remove Aaron and Moses out the picture, assign our own commander, and let's go back to Egypt. Go ahead.
Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the children of Israel.
So they before all the people, and they fell to their faces. Keep going.
And Joshua the son of Nun, and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, which were of them that searched the land, rent their clothes. And they spake unto all the company of the children of Israel, saying, the land which we passed through to search it is an exceeding good land.
So he's saying that the land that we saw is an exceedingly good land. We saw it with our own eyes. They're trying to motivate the people right now because we're supposed to endure until when? The end, but they lack faith, so they want to return back. That would be like us returning to our folly. Since I started following the Father, I thought everything in life was going to be perfect because I put down my old ways. So I'm just expecting everything to go good. The moment the stuff get a little rocky, you start doubting the Father. You start losing faith. You start, and then what is that going to do? Make you move according to your own will. Now you even further away. So now the Father got to chastise you because you lost the faith and you don't return back to the folly. Think about how many people you've met in this walk that's not here now and that's returned back to the world. And they are 3 to 4 times worse now than what they were before they even came into this knowledge. So these people are losing faith. They're not looking at all. And they had the signs. And it's easy to say, but I really believe if I could see that the Red Sea was split before my eyes, if I saw all these firstborns dying, I would never sin again. I would be so much in fear that it's like, oh, man, how could I ever take the chance? And while we're going through the wilderness, I'm seeing people get knocked off because they're not following the Father's will. Wow. But these people don't have faith. They're walking by sight. What verse we at?
Verse 8.
Oh, yeah. So they almost there. They almost to where the Father promised they was going to get to, but they starting to gripe and complain. Let's get a new leader and go back to Egypt. Let's go back to the world. Verse 8.
If Yahuwah's delight is in us, then he will bring us into this land.
If his delight is in us, then he'll do what?
Bring us into this land.
And
give it us. A land which floweth with milk and honey.
So it's going to be a good land. If his delight is in us, he will bring us. Keep that in mind. They're saying if his delight is in us, then he'll bring us into this land. Did everybody, all those people who left Egypt, did they make it to the promised land? How many people did? 2. Who originally left the promised land made it. Because he said if the Father's delight is in us. Those people didn't make it because why? They didn't have their seal. See how we bringing it back to the seal? They didn't have that spirit of the Father. They didn't have that seal. So they weren't able to get all the way there except the 2 people. And it was hundreds of thousands who left Egypt. And 2 people. So I want us to stay focused on our walk because though we come in here every Sabbath, we keep all these holy days or whatever you want to say, you're not guaranteed to get to meet the Father. You have to endure until the end. Go ahead.
Only rebel not ye against Yahuwah. Neither.
And I want to say, because he said that if his delight is in us, and remember they said they made a covenant with the Father. They said when the Father said, when Moses came and said, hey, this, that, and the third, this is what the Father expects from us. What did all the people say? All that you say, I will do. So they was in agreement. They made that covenant. And remember, the Father already walked through the burning furnace and the lit torch already went through the split animals that he told Abraham to split. So the covenant has already been made, and now it's coming into full fruition. And he's saying, hey, all right, this is the way I expect you guys. Because see, they was in the world. Egypt will be the world, quote unquote. Since he's taken it to the land of milk and honey, which will really be almost like a second replica of the Garden of Eden, because I want y'all to have my ways. So all the things you've seen in Egypt, when you get there, don't do that. This is how I want you to conduct yourself. So it'll be like a replica of the Garden of Eden, where everything was supposed to be good and righteous. You're supposed to be the lights of the world. You're supposed to reflect me. You're supposed to make the world follow me instead of you following the world. But Israel always wanted to be like the other nations. They always wanted to go the wicked route. What verse we at?
9.
Go ahead.
Only rebel not ye against Yahuwah.
He said, do what?
Rebel.
Don't rebel against him. But we know they did. Keep going.
Neither fear ye the people of the land.
Don't fear these people of the land. How could you fear the people of the land? And you seen the Red Sea split. You seen all the firstborns die. You seen all the miracles that he did. But they still feared the people more than the Father. You seeing the signs firsthand. You are seeing this. You walked on dry land through the Red Sea, but yet you still fear man. And we be in the same positions a lot of time in our life. We'll fear what's going on. We'll fear man and all this stuff, knowing that the Father got way more power. Okay, keep reading.
For they are bread for us. Their defense is departed from them. And Yahuwah is with us. Fear them not.
So they trying to motivate the people. Remember, Joshua and Caleb is saying this stuff. They bread for us, meaning they food on the table. The Father done got us this far. They don't have no power. Don't fear these people, because they're trying to get their mind right. They're trying to make the people think in the way that they should. He said, just don't rebel against Yah. Keep your part of the covenant where you said, all you say I will do, right? Keep going.
But all the congregation, they stone them with stones. And the glory.
So they want to stone them with stones. They sitting here trying to get you, prep you up and get you prepared to keep moving. Hey, man, we got this good land. We seen it. Don't fear the people. Remember, everything that Yah did for us, he'll do even greater things. He's going to continue to do this so that the esteem will go to his name, right? And they want to stone him. Keep going.
And the glory of Yahuwah appeared in the tabernacle of the congregation before all the children of Israel. And Yahuwah said unto Moses, how long will this people provoke me? And how long will it be ere they believe me for all the signs which I have showed among them?
And that's frustrating. I'm taking you from nothing, trying to make you something, and you keep going against me. How long I got to keep dealing with this? Do you not understand? I'm the creator. I'm the reason you open your eyes every day. We got to think like that too. How long till I really walk the way I'm supposed to walk? Because a lot of people got that I'll work on it later attitude. And we're not promised tonight, let alone tomorrow. We've taken the covenant, family. This has to be our first priority. Him first and then everything else after that. Because he told you, man, you walk in the way that I command you, and everything else will be added unto you. A lot of that stress will be taken off of you. What verse we at?
12.
Okay, keep reading.
I will smite them with the pestilence and disinherit them, and will make thee a greater nation and mightier than they.
Because he can take them all out the equation and do something greater. Keep going.
And Moses said unto Yahuwah, then the Egyptians shall hear it, for thou broughtest up this people in thy might from among them.
So he talking to the Father. Hey, your esteem is gonna be on the line. Your glory gonna be on the line, because you done brought these people out of Egypt, and if they hear the Egyptians hear that, oh yeah, their God just took them away from us just to kill them in the wilderness, right? So he's bringing this up. He a smart man. He knows what to say to the Father. Keep going.
And they will tell it to the inhabitants of this land.
See, they're going to tell it to everybody else. Keep going.
For they have heard that thou, Yahuwah, art among this people, and that thou, Yahuwah, art seen face to face, and that thy cloud standeth over them, and that thou goest before them by daytime in a pillar of cloud, and in a pillar of fire by night. Now, if thou shalt kill all this people as one man, then the nations...
They're going to say what?
They have heard the fame of thee will speak, saying, because Yahuwah was not able to bring this people into the land which he sware unto them.
So since you killed them, Yah is not able to bring the people to the land. That's how the people going to talk about you. You weren't no true power. You didn't have the power to bring the people all the way through. Keep going.
Therefore he has slain them in the wilderness.
And then when you in this walk, that's how people gonna look at you. They gonna look at our walk like it's trash because they gonna say, "Ah, man, look at this sister brother. They went over there and they worse than what they were, or they ain't changed too much." So then your whole belief system is gonna be frowned upon. Keep going.
And now I beseech thee, let the power of my Lord be great, according to thou hast spoken, saying, Yahuwah is long-suffering and of great mercy.
See, he buttering him up. Y'all, you long-suffering and have mercy. Keep going.
Forgiving iniquity and transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation.
So how many times does he have to forgive them? Keep going.
Pardon, I beseech thee, the iniquity of this people according unto the greatness of thy mercy, and thou hast forgiven this people from Egypt even until now.
Kind of what Yeshua did. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Keep reading.
And Yahuwah said, I have pardoned according to thy word. But as truly as I live, all the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord. Because all those men which have seen my glory and my miracles, which I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and have tempted me now, these 10 times.
So 10 times, he keeping count. He keeping count. He say 10 times. I done did all these miracles in front of them in Egypt, and they 10 times now they have done this, murmuring, complaining, considering going back to the bondage that I relieved them from. So he definitely keeping count, and just over and over they transgress. Keep going.
And have not hearkened to my voice. Surely they shall not see the land which I swear unto their fathers.
So they not going to see that land that I promised, because they don't have that seal. They don't have that spirit. Keep going.
Neither shall any of them that provoke me see it. But my servant Caleb, because he had another spirit with him.
Well, my servant who?
Caleb.
He had what?
Another spirit with him.
And then what did he tell us in the scriptures that we started off with? He said, he paid his down payment. He paid that earnest, and he sealed us with the spirit. So out of all these people, he mentions one person, Caleb. And he says because he has a different spirit, my spirit. Read 24 again.
But my servant Caleb, because he had another spirit with him, and had followed me fully, him will I bring into the land whereinto he went, and his seed shall possess it. Now the Amalekites and the Canaanites dwelt in the valley. Tomorrow turn you and get you into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying,
What'd he say?
How long shall I bear with this evil congregation?
How long I'm going to continue to bear with them? All these times they tempted me, and I keep giving mercy. I keep giving mercy. You keep trying to be the mediator, step between them and death and my judgment. How long do I have to keep putting up with this? Keep going.
Which murmur against me. I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel, which they murmur against me.
Okay, so we see that, skip down to 33. And we're going to read 33 and 34 real quick.
And your children shall wander in the wilderness 40 years.
So for 40 years, your children are going to wander through the wilderness. Keep going.
And bear your whoredoms until your carcasses be wasted in the wilderness.
So your kids going to even have to wait to get to this promised land because y'all were wicked. And I got to let y'all die out, who I originally brought out of Egypt, so that the place I want to take everybody to won't be contaminated by y'all. Because I see y'all are consistently not going to change. You don't have the faith. You're not going to endure to the end. Any little thing that's any uncomfort, you're ready to run back to the world or Egypt. So we got to be the same way. We got to have the spirit that Caleb had, which was the spirit of the Father, because he got chose out of all those people. And Joshua was good as well, you know. But he mentioned Caleb specifically. Go ahead and keep reading.
After the number of the days in which ye search the land, even 40 days, each day for a year, shall ye bear your iniquities, even 40 years. And ye shall know my breach of promise.
Mm-hmm. So since y'all did that, your children are going to wander through the wilderness for the 40 years, and I'm going to purge y'all out. That way, once you get into what should have been my replica of the Garden of Eden, at least we won't have y'all iniquity. And so where we're going to go now, let me see here. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 8. And we're going to read verses 55 through 56. 1 Kings chapter 8, 55, 56. Just to see if the Father kept his promise and took him into the promised land. So out of all them people, y'all, he saw his spirit in Caleb. And there was a lot of people out there. We have to do better and get better daily, progress, become more of spirit and less of flesh. Let Yah increase within us and decrease ourselves. Kill that old man. 1 Kings chapter 8, so that we can have the seal. So when it's time for our judgment, the Father will recognize us. Because if we don't look like him, we don't have them same fruits that he possessed, we just only good for judgment. Okay, 1 Kings chapter 8, 55 through 56. Go ahead, brother.
And he stood and blessed all the congregation of Israel with a loud voice, saying,
What'd he say?
Blessed be Yahuwah, that hath given rest unto his people Israel, according to all that he promised.
So everything he promised, he does. Keep going.
There hath not failed one word of all his good promise.
Not one word has failed.
Which he promised by the hand of Moses, his servant.
Right. So he keeps he honors with his agreements. So when he makes that covenant, he's going to keep his part. But the importance is, and the question is, will we keep ours? Hebrews chapter 8, verse 6. We need to encourage each other to walk the right path. Hebrews 8 and verse 6. And when you get there, go ahead and read.
But now hath he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant.
So this is a better covenant that we're about to get. The first covenant was based on physical, and this one now that he's making is based on spiritual. Keep going.
Which was established upon better promises.
It's established on better promises. John 14. So the covenant that we are even coming under, it's better than what the ancient Israelites had. John 14, we'll read verses 2 through 17. John 14, verses 2 through 17. Go ahead, brother.
In my Father's house are many mansions, and if it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also.
Okay, so the price has been paid. We know the price has been paid. What the price was paid was the blood. So he says, I go to prepare, my Father's house have many mansions, and I go to prepare a place for you. So since I've already made the down payment, and I sealed you with the Spirit, I'm going to come get there, right? So let's say you go to Best Buy, your refrigerator breaks down, so you have to purchase a new refrigerator. You give them the money down to hold your refrigerator. So are you just going to leave your refrigerator there, or are you going to make arrangements and then come back and get it? I don't have a truck, so I got to go make arrangements so that I can come back and get it. So the same thing, he's already made that payment in blood, so he has to prepare a place. But I'm coming back to get you because I done paid the cost, and there was a brutal cost. Verse 4.
And whither I go ye know, and the way ye know. Thomas saith unto him.
They call him Doubting Thomas. That's what a lot of people call him, Doubting Thomas. What did it read 5?
Adonai, we know not whither thou goest, and how can we know the way?
So we don't know these things. Keep going. He wants a sign, Because remember, it said the Jews seek a sign. So he basically asking for a sign. And this the same man, y'all, who said, unless I could put my fingers through the holes, I won't believe it. That's why they call him Doubting Thomas. He always doubting. You walking with Yeshua and you see all the miracles that he performed, but yet you still doubt. Go ahead and read. What verse we on?
6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeshua saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life.
And that's true.
No man cometh unto the Father but by me.
Mm-hmm.
If ye had known me, ye should have known my Father also.
Mm-hmm.
And from henceforth ye know him and have seen him.
Mm-hmm. So one thing we see with Thomas is that he's around him, but he's not getting a true, full understanding. We want to make sure that we have a full understanding of our covenant that we've made with the Father and what we're supposed to do in order to keep that covenant good and not break it. Keep reading.
Philip saith unto him,
Mm-hmm.
Lord, show us the Father, and it sufficeth us.
So he said, so Philip now saying, show us the Father, and that's going to be good enough for us. What a slap in the face. I done all this. If you seen me, you seen the Father. You seen all this work, and then you need to see the Father, though. That's a slap in the face. Verse 9.
Yeshua said unto them,
Mm-hmm.
Have I been so long time with you, and yet hast thou not known me, Philip?
Mm-hmm.
He that has seen me has seen the Father.
You seen me, you seen the Father.
And how sayest thou then, show us the Father?
And how you going to say, show us the Father? If you seen me, you seen the Father. Keep going.
Believest thou not that I am in the Father, and the Father in me?
Mm-hmm.
The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself,
Mm-hmm.
but the Father that dwelleth in me,
Uh-huh.
he doeth the works.
Right, because they share the same what? Spirit. They share the same spirit. So when we come up under the blood of Christ, we are taking on. What did Christ leave us? What did he say? When I leave here, I do what? I'm gonna leave you a what? A comforter. That's the Spirit. So he's in the Father in him. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave a piece of this Spirit on you. I'm gonna put this in you, like we read earlier, so that it can seal you, so that you look like me and the Father. So when it's time for you to stand before us, we can identify you. Because a shepherd gonna know when it's not his sheep. They could be all white, 100 all white sheep, 1,000 all black sheep out there, and they'll look at one and know, nah, that's not. And when you deal with sheep actually know they shepherds by their voice, literally. So if you at a place where, let's say, you got Leo from Kentucky going to visit his cousin in Iowa, they both raise sheep. So when Leo goes to visit his cousin, he could try to talk to the sheep. The sheep not going to come. But when his cousin speaks, what's going to happen? They going to come. So he wants to, he's leading his own flock. So with that being said, he left a little bit of his spirit so that we could be deemed as part of the flock. So when we stand before him, he'll know us and recognize us as his sheep. But you got Doubting Thomas and you got, who was that, Philip, that's saying, let us see the Father. So this is a slap, because remember he said the Jews seek signs. What verse we at?
11.
Go ahead.
Believe me that I am in the Father,
Mm-hmm.
and the Father in me,
Mm-hmm.
or else believe me for the very work's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Verily, verily, I say unto you,
Mm-hmm.
he that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father.
So he's saying y'all going to be doing greater works. Keep going.
And whatsoever ye shall ask in my name,
Mm-hmm.
that will I do,
Mm-hmm.
that the Father may be glorified in the Son.
So that the Father will be glorified in the Son.
If ye shall ask anything in my name, I will do it.
Mm-hmm.
If ye love me, keep my commandments.
Guard my commands. Keep going.
And I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever.
So he's going to give you another comforter. He's going to come and seal you with that Spirit. So this is the sign that he's basically giving them. Since they asked for a sign, just follow the commands that I gave, and then you're going to be blessed with a Spirit, and you're going to be able to do greater things than what I did. Did not when Yeshua had to transition, his disciples were doing even greater works than he was doing. That's how the message spread so quick before 70 AD, and the Romans took the temple down, because they were able to go and do the same things that they saw the Messiah doing. So he gave them that spirit. So all the works is looking the same, even though the Father gave the Spirit to the Son came and said, I'm going to go to the Father so that I'm going to leave you a spirit and you're going to do greater things. So they all reflect and they moving as one. So now we're going to go to 2 Corinthians 5. So they have the seal. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, and we're going to read verses 5 through 7. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 5 through 7. And when you get there, go ahead.
Now he that hath brought us for the selfsame thing is Yah, who also hath given unto us the earnest of the Spirit.
The earnest of the Spirit. He's given us the down payment, which is the Spirit. Go ahead.
Therefore we are always confident, knowing that whilst we are at home in the body, we are absent from the Lord. For we walk by faith, not by sight.
We walk by what?
Faith.
And not by
sight.
Right. So we held to even a higher responsibility than even what the disciples had. We have to walk by faith, because we're not seeing, we're reading it, but we're not seeing all of this stuff. So we remember when we gave when we were even talking about the people, we'll touch on that later. Genesis chapter 38. And we're going to read 12 through 18. Genesis 38. Genesis 38 and 18. How long we been on, Brother David? An hour. All right. I don't want to do like Pastor Al. All right. Genesis 38 and 18. And when you get there, go ahead, brother.
And he said, what pledge shall I give thee? And she said, thy signet and thy bracelets and thy staff that is in thine hand. And he gave it her and came in unto her. And she
okay, hold on. See if I really want to start there. Genesis 38 and 12. I'm sorry. 38 and 12. Go ahead.
And in the process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died.
So Judah's wife has died.
And Judah was comforted and went up into his sheep shearers to Timnath, he and his friend Hira and Adulamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep.
So his daughter-in-law is being told what?
Thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep.
So she know he's going to go shear his sheep. And her father-in-law is Judah. Go ahead, 14.
And she put her widow's garments off from her and covered her with a veil and wrapped herself and sat in an open place which is by the way to Timnath. For she saw that
So she wrapped her, she covered herself with a veil and wrapped herself up, and she is waiting at the entrance. Go ahead.
For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife.
So she wasn't given unto him to wife. Go ahead.
When Judah saw her, he thought her to be a harlot.
So he thinking that she a harlot because she got a veil on, and that's what a lot of harlots would wear, veils, right? Keep going.
Because she had covered her face. And he turned unto her by the way and said, Go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law.
So he down with it. He knows she a harlot and he want to lay with her. But don't even know that this is his daughter-in-law. Keep going.
And she said, What wilt thou give me?
She said, what you going to give me? That's what a harlot want in
Right.
exchange, right? Keep going.
That thou mayest come into me.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock.
So I'm going to give you a baby goat. Go ahead.
And she said, Wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it?
So she wants a pledge, which is, what would that pledge be? A down payment. The pledge would be a down payment. So she wants a down payment until she can get that the baby goat. Verse 18.
And he said, What pledge shall I give thee? And she said, Thy signet and thy bracelet.
So remember we spoke about the signets at the beginning of the lesson. What's a signet? Yes, a signet would be that ring, which would be that you put in the seal for a mark. So she's saying, hey, I want your signet. Keep going.
And thy bracelets, and thy staff that is in thine hand.
And a bracelet would also be a cord, because they would have bracelets even made out of the cords. You know, like how people get cloth materials, make bracelets out of it, like yarn and stuff. So she says, I want your bracelet and your staff, and keep going.
And he gave it her, and came in unto her, and she conceived by him.
So they exchanged these things. It was just a covenant made. And so she wanted his bracelet, a cord, his signet, and his staff. A staff, it was usually be represented, being representative of a leader, whether it be a flock or something else. So these are the things that they agreed that will be given as a down payment until she can get the baby goat. Let's go to Exodus 28. Just so we can look at a few things to get understanding of what that bracelet or cord would signify and represent. Exodus chapter 28 and verse 38. Exodus 28 and verse 38. So she is smart. She's deceitful, but she's smart. Give me these things until I get that baby goat. Because you could come into me and then not give me that, you know, and then I'm out of. I don't have my part of what I wanted, but I came here for. Okay, go ahead. Exodus 28 and 28. Exodus 28 and 28. Go ahead.
And they shall bind the breastplate by the rings thereof unto the rings of the ephod.
And using the what?
With a lace of blue.
Right. So this would be that cord or that bracelet that she was speaking about. Keep going.
That it may be above the curious girdle of the ephod, and that the breastplate be not loose from the ephod.
So that's what that what that particular cord was used for, was to make sure that the garments stayed together. So it's a binding. Just like when we come into an agreement, they call it a binding agreement. To go to chapter 39. So remember, these are the things she asked for, because she understands that when we get an understanding of the heritage and the culture, that these are things that they use to bond agreements with. These are things that will held the value, where you could bring it to the people and say, just like the king's seal. Like, no, I'm not lying. Look, this is the king's seal on this letter. I know this came from King David because it's his seal. So chapter 39, we're going to read 21 and skip down to 31. 39 and hit 21 for me, please.
And they did bind the breastplate by his rings unto the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue. With the lace of blue, which would also be considered that bracelet that she wanted earlier. Go ahead. That it might be above the curious girdle of the ephod, and that the breastplate might not be loose from the ephod, as Yahuwah commanded Moses.
So there's binding. Verse 31.
And they tied unto it a lace of blue.
Right, so it's the cord again. Go ahead.
To fasten it on high upon the mitri, as Yahuwah commanded Moses.
Right, so we're seeing that these things are used to hold things together. Numbers 15. And we're going to read 38 through 39. Numbers 15 and 38 through 39. Numbers 15, 38 through 39. Go ahead.
Speak unto the children of Israel.
And say what?
Bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations.
And what do you do?
And that they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon of blue. And it shall be unto you for a fringe, that ye may look upon it, and remember all the commandments of Yahuwah, and do them.
Right.
And that ye seek not after your own heart, in your own eyes, after which ye use to go a whoring.
So we see where they're using this bracelet or this ribbon or cord to bind things together. Go to Haggai 2:23. And remember, Yeshua said that I'm going to send a comforter so that he can bring all things into remembrance. And that's what those fringes of zizis we just read about, they were supposed to do that, remind the people of their sins. But that was the physical. But spiritually, Yeshua said, I'm going to send you a comforter. Because remember, we read that his covenant had better promises, which is better. I'd rather, instead of having just fringes, I got ZZs on right now, but I could still be out here doing bad. But what's going to help me is that spirit. When it hit my conscience before I do something, and then it's almost like having a knife go through your heart when you really be pricked by the Father. You know, you can get into it with somebody, you be about to say something you know you don't need to say, and it's like you feel that prick, and it's like, I'm going to step back. That's that spirit. And the spirit is supposed to do what? Seal us. It's supposed to be that seal and that sign and the mark. Haggai 2:23. Go ahead.
In that day, saith Yahuwah of hosts, will I take thee, O Zerubbabel, my servant, the son of Shealtiel.
Hold on, let me get there. I'm in the wrong spot. I'm sorry. All right, go ahead.
In that day, saith Yahuwah of hosts, will I take thee, O Zerubbabel, my servant, the son of Shealtiel, saith Yahuwah, and will make thee as a signet, for I have chosen thee, saith Yahuwah of hosts.
So he said he's going to make him a signet. And that's because he was what? He said, for you are what?
My servant.
Keep reading.
The son of Shealtiel, saith Yahuwah, and will make thee as a signet, for I have chosen thee.
I have chosen you. So he's sealing the people who he has chosen. So we see how special it is to be sealed, but he was sealed because he was chosen. Let's go to Esther 8:10. Esther 8 and verse 10. Read that.
And he wrote in King Ahasuerus' name and sealed it with the king's ring.
So we seeing this is part of the culture. The king's ring sealed it. Keep going.
And sent letters by post on horseback, and riders on mules, camels, and young dromedaries.
So we seeing that the seal is important. This is what shows the authenticity of the message. Because you could say, hey, the king wants you to do this and that. People might move slow, but if they get their letter with their seal on it, they going to move quick. Go back to Genesis 38. So by her asking for that signet, she knew what she was doing. Because it's going to show, yeah, he chose to have this agreement with me. So we seeing how valuable and important that is. That we are sealed with the Spirit. People should be able to see that Spirit within us, and I already know, oh, that's from the Father, because I see the Spirit, which is the seal. 38, and we're going to pick it up at verse 18. Go ahead.
And he said, what pledge shall I give thee? And she said, thy signet, and thy bracelets.
Yeah, or your bracelet of cord. Go ahead.
And thy staff that is in thine hand. And he gave it her and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. And she arose and went away, and laid by her veil from her, and put on the garments of widowhood.
So she did all of that and then went on and put on her widow garments. So we see what type of spirit she had. But again, the staff represent leadership, and we supposed to be led by what? The Spirit. We supposed to be led by the Spirit. We supposed to be sealed and bonded by the Spirit. So Psalms 23. Where we at now, Brother David? Okay. I'm trying to wrap this up, y'all. But it's a lot to go into this. All right, Psalms 23 and verse 4. And when you get there, go ahead.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil.
I'm not going to fear no evil. Why?
For thou art with me.
Because you're with me. Go ahead.
Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me.
They comfort me, because the staff was a symbol of leadership. So that means that I'm not going to fear no evil, because I know you lead me, Father. And wherever you lead me, you're not going to lead me to the ditch, because you're not blind. You have a true vision, a true sight. You know, what's how that song go, y'all? Order my steps. Yeah. So you're going to lead me. So I'm comfortable, because I know you're not going to lead me the wrong way. So this is why the song, which we know songs mean songs, that's why it's saying I'm comfortable, because you going to lead me. And this is showing the importance of the staff, because those who lead and have power, they have the staffs. John 10. And she needed to ask for that, because that way when she go back to Judah to get that baby goat that she was promised, she could just hold this up and show that, we made an agreement. How did I get his signet? How did I get his cord or bracelet? How did I get his staff? Me, I'm a woman. What I do, overpower him? Right. John 10, and we're going to read verses 1 through 5. Go ahead.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calleth his own sheep by name, and leadeth them out. And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. And
okay, that's it. So the sheep is gonna know his voice, and he gonna know his sheep as well. So the last thing we want to hear is how the scripture go. Y'all gotta help me, because it slipped my mind. He say, basically say, "Get away from me, I never knew you, you worker of iniquity." So we made an agreement. I'm gonna walk this type of walk. I'm going to do your will, just like the ancient Israelites did. All that you say, I will do. And even Yeshua, he said, I'm going to give you this spirit, but guard my commands. Keep my, John 14:15, keep my commandments. And then I will be a mediator between you and the Father. So his sheep know his voice, and he going to be able to identify the sheep. And we going to be able to show that we the sheep, because our fruits is going to match up. Our spirit is going to match up. Like whose spirit did he recognize in the wilderness? Caleb's. So our spirit going to be the same way. So he won't turn us away, because he going to know us. He going to be able to identify us. I'm trying to speed this up. Let's see here. What verse we on?
We're on 5.
Go ahead and hit 5.
And a stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him. For they know not the voice of strangers.
Right. So we ain't going to take heed to the wrongdoings and the wrong ways of life. We're going to stay on the righteous path. Because he has paid the down cost, the down payment. Ephesians 1. And we're going to read verses 11 through 16. Ephesians 1, 11 through 16. I'm going to try to pick up the pace. Go ahead.
In whom also we have obtained an inheritance.
And what's our inheritance?
Being predestinated according to the purpose of him.
Right.
Who worketh all things after the counsel of his own will.
Mm-hmm.
That we should be to the praise of his glory, who first trusted in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
In whom ye also trusted after that ye heard the word of truth, the gospel of your salvation, in whom also after that ye believed ye were sealed.
With what?
That Holy Spirit of promise.
With the Ruach HaKodesh. Keep going.
Which is the earnest of our inheritance.
This is the down payment for our inheritance. Keep going.
Until the redemption of the purchased possession, unto the praise of his glory.
Because the purchased possession, because remember he said you were bought with a price. So the price has been paid. Keep going.
Wherefore I also, after I heard of your faith in the Lord Yeshua, and love unto all the saints, cease not to give thanks for you, making mention of you in my prayers.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's good. So remember, we already been paid. He said we seal with the Spirit. The Spirit is going to be the sign so that he can identify us and not turn us away. Let's go back to Matthew 20. I'm trying to tie everything in now so we can get out of here and bring some more clarity on why I chose the scriptures earlier. Matthew 20. We're going to read 1 through 16 and get a full understanding now. Go ahead.
For the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard.
To go get workers. Keep going.
And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and said unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I will give you. And they went their way. Again he went out about the 6th and 9th hour, and did likewise. And about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing idle, and saith unto them, Why stand ye here all the day idle?
Okay, hold it there. So whose reward was better? The people who went out in the morning time, or those who went out in the third hour? Actually, let's go ahead and keep reading. We'll come back to it. Keep reading. So he went to the third hour, the 6th hour. Now at the 6th and 9th hour. Read verse 6 again.
And about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing idle, and saith unto them, Why stand ye here all the day idle?
Keep going.
They say unto him, Because no man hath hired us. He saith unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, that shall ye receive. So when even was come, the Lord of the vineyard saith unto his steward, Call the laborers and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. And when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny.
So even the men who came at the 11th hour, which is right when the sun is about to go all the way down, this is later in the evening. You know, so it went from like 6 o'clock going out to the early people, 9 o'clock for the people in the third hour, you know, then to 12, then on to 3, and then to 6, right before the sun go down. So the 11th hour will be around 6 p.m. So and they all got how much?
They all received every man a penny.
So who was rewarded greater? Those who went out in the morning, or those who went out in the 11th hour around 6 in the evening? Huh? Yeah, I would say even though they all paid a penny, I would say the ones in the evening, they only had like an hour of work to do, and they still got a penny, versus the person who went way in the morning and they got a penny. But the difference is this: all those people from the third hour on down, they all moved on faith. The people early in the morning knew exactly how much they were going to get. They had an agreement. They had an understanding. So I got to walk on faith that you're going to pay me. You might not give me a penny. But so their reward was good. And then remember, he said those who came last would be paid first. And he already said those first will come last, and last shall be, those last shall come first. Keep reading.
Verse 10. But when the first came, they supposed that they have received more, And they likewise received every man a penny.
So they thought they was gonna get more because they went and left early in the morning. Imagine working somewhere and they saying we're gonna pay y'all $50 a day, and you've been out there in the heat all day, and then somebody just come in an hour and a half right before it's time to shut down, and they get paid the same amount. So that's gonna make a lot of people gonna be upset. They're not gonna like that. So they coming and saying the same thing and voicing their concerns. Go ahead.
And when they had received it, they murmured against the good man of the house, saying,
So they complaining. Go ahead.
These last have wrought but 1 hour, and thou hast made them equal unto us, which have borne the burden and heat of the day.
So they like, man, we've been in this Texas heat all day. That's what we'll say now. I mean, you know, it was 110 degrees. Keep going.
But he answered one of them and said, Friend, I do thee no wrong. Didst not thou agree with me for a penny?
You agree for this amount, so I'm not doing you wrong. I'm giving you exactly what I told you I was going to give you. Keep going.
Take that thine is and go thy way.
I
will give unto this last even as unto thee.
So I'm going to give him the same thing. Keep going.
Is it not lawful for me to do what I will with mine own? Is thine eye evil because I am good? So the last shall be first, and the first last. For many be called, but few chosen.
Right. Many be called, but few be chosen. So with these parables, he's trying to teach them things. I want y'all to keep in mind how many people from the wilderness who originally left Egypt made it into the promised land again? 2 people out of all those hundreds of thousands. What about Sodom and Gomorrah? It was just Lot and his family out of those 2 and these are major cities. So we have to put ourselves in there at that time. These are huge cities. They are major cities of trade and barter. So that's like having the Big Apple in Los Angeles. And only Lot and his family left. What about with Noah when he flooded the world? 8 people out of everybody. So don't think that you're just going to be able to make it off of giving only 10%. We have to really live up to the measure and strive and endure until the end. So with all of that, he say many are called, but few are chosen. Last spot and we out of here. Hebrews 6. I see y'all yawning. Who is this, Brother Nehemiah or Al? We got to bleep out when I be talking about my cousin, man. I don't want him hearing it. He might try to sit me down. All right, last spot, y'all. Hebrews 6, and we're going to read verses. I think we're going to read verses 3 through 6. Hebrews 6 and 3 through 6. Hebrews 6, go ahead. 3.
And this will we do if Yah permit.
If Yah permits. Keep going.
For it is impossible for those who were once enlightened.
Hold on. That's an important word, y'all. Focus. It is what?
Impossible.
It's impossible. Keep reading.
For those who were once enlightened.
You had the light, the knowledge. Keep going.
And have tasted of the heavenly gift. And were made partakers of the Holy Ghost.
Because what is the Spirit supposed to do? Seal us. It's supposed to be an identifying marker so that the Father be able to identify us. And Yeshua don't say, I never knew you. You work of iniquity. Keep going.
And have tasted the good word of Yah and the powers of the world to come.
In my version say the age to come. Keep going.
If they shall fall away, to renew them again unto repentance, seeing they crucify to themselves the Son of Yah afresh, and put him to an open shame.
He said it is impossible. You had this knowledge, this opportunity. You came under this covenant, and you took the blood in vain. And just to go back to the beginning, do y'all remember when I was telling y'all about the history, when they split the sacrifice and they walked through, what did they say? When they walked through it, they would turn around and say, let happen to me. What happened to the sacrifice come upon me if I break the agreement. So if we break the agreement in the covenant that we've came and made with the Father and accepted Yeshua's blood, then it's over for us. And that's what we just read in these last scriptures. And with that being said, I hope somebody have a better understanding of that the price has been paid, the duties and the roles that we're supposed to play, and who we're going to be measured up to. And I hope somebody's gained some understanding. And I thank you, everybody, for coming here in attendance today and who's tuning in online. May the Most High bless y'all, have grace and mercy. Love y'all, and Shabbat Shalom.